Hey y'all, welcome to my reaction review for Married at First Sight, Season 14, the Matchmaking Special. And this is like, I don't know, my fifth video for the night because I'm doing a video for each of the couples. I'm on the last couple, which is Katina and Olajuwon. I don't know if I'm saving the best for last, the worst for last. Girl, I don't know. But anyway, my voice was bad at the first video. It was getting really bad. I know I sound like a man. Like I said in the last video, I'm fighting this laryngitis, so bear with me. But anyway, in the very video we asked, would you do that? And so we asking ourselves, would you do that? Would you have put these two together? It's a no for me. I'm sorry. I'm all about black love and everything, but this right here has disaster written all over it for me. I just don't see it. So anyway, let's first start with Katina. Normally I start with the guys first, but I'm going to start with Katina first. So the obvious, she's beautiful. She's really pretty, okay? So I'm quite sure that when he sees her, it won't be no issue of I'm not attracted to her because, 8, 9 out of 10 men are going to think that she's attractive. But let me say, and that's a but. One of the things, if you watch my other video, one of the things, the pet peeves I have when single women start talking about themselves out here in the dating world is when they use certain types of phrases. One of the phrases I really makes my skin crawl is accept me for who I am. Because that to me is like, oh, what? That means you don't want to change. And that can't work in a marriage, just period. It's such the wrong, you just can't have that attitude. But the other phrase that really gets me is I deserve. I deserve. You deserve? Like your husband or your wife or your partner is not a trophy. You didn't run like no marathon and then say, well, I ran the whole marathon just like you told me, 5 miles, 5 times around the track. So now I came in first place, so I deserve the trophy. Give me my trophy. You can't think of another person as somebody you deserve, like they're an object or something. I understand what people are trying to say. What they're really trying to say is I'm a good person. And I think because I'm a good person, I want to be with another good person. Or I'm this, so I should be with another person like this, which is fine. That's okay. But the word deserve, and when that word comes out, it tells me something. What it's telling me is that you've elevated yourself to this highest statue and you've anointed yourself with that. First of all, right? You've sort of anointed yourself with that. I don't know. I'm not going to get into it because I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad up in here about that. Like, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? You deserve, you deserve, you deserve. I'm just telling you, it comes off. Like if you're sitting on a date and you're talking to someone, you're like, yeah, I really like you and everything. So what type of man do you like? Well, I deserve this. What? It's almost like all of a sudden I owe you something. Like what? I just met you. I owe you what you deserve. I don't know. So that kind of like a little bit at first made me sort of just like sit back a little bit on her. Then I find out like she's a nightclub girl, which is nothing wrong with it, okay? But it tells me a little bit more about her. And I'm like, okay, so, and then she says she's an ex-party girl. She doesn't party anymore. But these are things. So when I see clues like this, one clue by itself, I don't go out and make a whole assumption about a person, right? Because one clue is not enough to come to some like real conclusion. So typically when I'm trying to like look at the couples, I add up a lot of things. And then if I start to say, well, there's a preponderance over here. So being part of the nightclub by itself, not a big deal. saying what you deserve by itself, not a big deal. Where it starts to become a big deal when you see these things start stacking on each other. That's when I start to get a little worried. So then I'm thinking, okay, the nightclub thing. She goes, oh, well, that was the younger me, not the me now. Well, I hope so, because that's not the wife world and the new life. That life doesn't typically work for the majority of people. There are some people, married men, who that won't bother them. But when you think about, from 0% to 100% of men who that they will be comfortable with that, typically what you're talking about, that's a smaller percent of men who will be comfortable with that. Then we get to the house, and I don't know, her place is kind of junky, right? And she's, oh, that's my junk drawer. Once again, one thing is okay, but when the junk drawer, it wasn't like pens and pencils and whatever. It kind of looked like it was a bunch of bills, to be honest with you, like bills that you get just stuffed in the drawer, or paperwork. She didn't have no filing system or nothing. I don't know. I know you guys like, dang girl, you being really petty. But like I tell you, I noticed such small things, and the small things by themselves don't mean anything. It's when you piece them all together. This is how people, when you go back later and you look at your old relationships, you're like, man, I don't know, I never saw those red flags. You saw them. But what it was you just went by them because at the moment you thought, well, that was just a small thing. But now as you look back, you realize that was really like a precursor of what was bigger. So it doesn't mean that you get stuck on the small things, but you definitely should look at them and put them in perspective. So now I'm like, her place was kind of messy. So that's also giving me messy club life, right? A junk drawer. I deserve. I don't know. It's kind of something other. So then another part about her that she started to mention, she said that she wanted, I forget the exact words, but she really was saying that she wanted a leader, a guy who was a leader, which I thought was pretty cool. I was like, okay. So she was saying, sometimes she second guesses herself. And so she would want a mate that encourages her and things like that. I thought, oh, that's interesting. So, you have two type of people. You have people who are self-motivated. They don't need that much. Sure, it's helpful and supportive. And then you have people that you need to help move you along. Neither person is better than the other, right? But what that means is sometimes you might have your own self-doubt, which means you don't necessarily go after it yourself. You sometimes need a little bit of a push. You sometimes need someone to encourage you, to help you. And that's what she was talking about, right? So what that's also given me when I look at all this is she definitely does want a guy to be the leader, because I think she might be the type of woman that she may not be able to accomplish all the things she wants to on her own, and she needs someone to sort of push her along and help her, which I think is good that she's aware of that, so she kind of knows what guy she wants to date. Because one of the things she said, she broke up. She goes, well, what happened in your past relationship? And she said, well, we broke up because he was too passive. Now, see, what she's describing, which I get, because if she's passive and he's passive, you got two people sitting up on the couch doing nothing, because neither one can motivate each other, because she needs someone to motivate her. And the guy she was saying she was with was too passive. He didn't have enough of his own oomph to get him going and get her going. So she's kind of saying that's what she needs. That's what she needs to have. So, I think she's gonna be a little fiery, to be honest with you. I think she is gonna be kind of demanding. I don't want to use the word lazy, because that's really not the word, but I think she's going to need so much from her partner that she's not going to see what she needs to do, right? That she's going to look at what the other person could be doing differently, but she's not going to see what she needs to be doing differently. And that she's going to want to make forward progress. She's going to want to do things. She does want all these things, but she doesn't see how to participate in it herself. She's going to want someone else to do a lot of the work for her. And I think I think she might get a little frustrated and angry. You know, at first when I saw her, she kind of looked like the total girl next door, right? You know, and then I saw that she had the long tattoo sleeve. And I said, yeah, see, she got a little edge to her. She's not the girl next door. You know, she's not the girl next door. She got a little edge to her. And so, I don't know, but right now, I'm not feeling them as a couple. But let's go on to Olajuwon. Now, here's the truth about Olajuwon. You know, I heard a lot of people saying, you know, he comes off as the playboy, right? But then when he's speaking, he comes off as this sensitive type guy. And like, man, he's reminding me of Zach from last year, where Zach presented himself as this sort of sweet guy. But later on, we found out he was a total F-boy. He was out in these streets, right? And so what Olajuwon keeps talking about is that people think he's out in the street, but he's not. He's really this sweet guy who wants to settle down and marry. One of the things I really didn't like that he said was that a lot of his friends are settled down. They're either married or about to get married, and he wants to do that. I thought that was good because that means he's not the first out of his path to seek marriage. So I was happy to see that about him. You know, I'm still getting the playboy vibes, you know, and then, you know, he sort of chose the white jacket. One thing I can say about the white jacket to get married, and you guys are like, well, white jacket, what you talking about? He's going to get married in a white jacket. And I always say guys who pick and use the white jacket, my voice is really going out, so y'all gotta bear with me. I'm not gonna go too long. Is that, you know, they're more like gregarious out there. And so he's coming off like he's like this, you know, nice, sweet guy. But I don't know. I think he's got a little more oomph to him than he's putting on. And I think he might clash with Katina. See, the other thing, he wants this woman who is really, he wants more of a traditional woman, which is okay, right? So I think what he recognizes in himself is that he might feel that he's an alpha male and he doesn't want to be butting heads with another alpha male female in the house. Got it. That's smart, right? And so if that's who he is, then he said he wants a woman who's a little bit more traditional. But I ain't getting traditional from Katina, because a traditional woman, I don't know, a club girl, they asked her could she cook. She don't know how to cook. She going over her mama's house. I don't know. And to go back to her, did you see her bed at her house? It was a twin bed. A twin. She's a grown woman. Is she sleeping in a twin bed? I don't know. That was a red flag to me too. I really don't know. So for these two, to be honest with you, I think they're going to clash. I really do. I think he's going to want a more traditional woman that sort of listens to him and maybe lets him be the leader. I mean, he's a homeowner, which is saying a lot in Boston. I don't know if you live in Boston or not, but Boston's really expensive. So for you to own your own home, I don't know how old he is, but that means he's disciplined and done all that. So I like that he's a homeowner. But right now, you guys, I'm going to have to go with a no for them. I don't see it. I think it's going to be a hot mess. I hope I'm wrong, but I'm going to have to go no with them. And let me tell you, there's not too many people I gave a yes with on these first couple of videos. I hope these experts didn't screw us over like they did last year. We better get one couple out of this. So what do you guys think? Would you do that? Would you have put them together? I'm a no on them. I wouldn't have put them together. I feel like they could have found different people. But what do you think? Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to vote. And also don't forget to subscribe and like the video. And I'm gonna go drink me some hot tea and some lemon because my voice is shot. I promise you, hopefully by next week when I review the um, next episode, my voice is back, you guys. But thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.